GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action. Live from the GMNA News Center, this is the Lunch Break News Hour.
Good afternoon, Montreal. Our top story today, Quebec is expanding its home support pilot to 9 more regions, adding hundreds of thousands of reduced-price service hours. Traffic snarled on Route 136, and the Offspring will kick off tonight's concert series. Jeff, what do you make of that?
The Gourmet Soup Cruise sails the St. Lawrence this Saturday afternoon, departing from the Old Port at 1 o'clock, offering 3 soup varieties, live DJ sets, and panoramic river views.
Tickets cost $40 each, include a complimentary drink, and must be reserved online. The cruise holds up to 100 passengers, with proceeds supporting the Montreal Food Bank.
The 2-hour voyage includes a brief stop near the Jacques Cartier Bridge for photo opportunities, while the DJ spins classic pop hits, making the experience family-friendly and entertaining.
We've got a delicious lineup ahead, from local flavors to lively music, so keep listening as we dive into today's stories. It's time to get started. Let's begin. Here are our top stories.
Quebec is extending its home support pilot to 9 additional regions, creating up to 623,000 reduced-price service hours to broaden affordable care access. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
The province announced today that its home support pilot will spread into 9 new regions, adding roughly 623,000 reduced-price service hours. Officials say the expansion aims to make affordable personal care assistance more reachable for seniors and people with disabilities. The added hours will be allocated across the new sites, each operating under the same discounted fee structure that pilots in existing areas have used. Health and Social Services ministers highlighted that the move responds to growing demand for in-home help, especially as the population ages. The government plans to monitor uptake and outcomes before deciding on permanent rollout. Implementation will begin in the coming months, and providers are already coordinating staffing and training to meet the new demand. That's Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Montreal.
The Communauté Métropolitaine de Montréal has asked the Quebec government for funding to map buildings most vulnerable to flooding after a surge in heavy rain events across the city this week. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Officials from the Montreal metropolitan community are pressing Quebec for funding to launch a citywide map that pinpoints buildings most vulnerable to floodwaters. The proposal, presented to the provincial government on the 4th of August, calls for detailed surveys and digital modeling of at-risk structures across the island. Mayor Soria Martinez Ferrada said the effort responds to a surge in heavy rain events that have left neighborhoods swamped in recent months. By overlaying historic flood data with current infrastructure information, the project aims to give emergency planners a clearer picture of where water could breach homes and businesses. The province's response is expected in the coming weeks as the city seeks to stay ahead of the next storm. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Ville-Marie.
Montreal police have released photographs of a suspect in an attempted murder investigation after a 49-year-old man was found conscious with stab wounds to his upper and lower body. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
Police have issued new photographs of a man they say is linked to an attempted murder. The investigation began after a 49-year-old man was found conscious on a downtown street, suffering stab-like wounds to his upper and lower torso. Officers say the injuries were inflicted with a sharp object, and they believe the suspect tried to end the victim's life. The release includes several images showing the alleged attacker's face and build, in hopes the public can help identify him. Detectives are urging anyone who saw the incident on Tuesday afternoon, August 4, 2026, to come forward. The case remains open as investigators continue to piece together the events leading up to the assault. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Montreal. Pierrefonds Roxborough residents gathered yesterday demanding answers after another severe flood, citing ongoing frustration with the city's response to repeated inundations. City officials promised a review. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
On Saturday, residents of Pierrefonds Roxborough gathered in the neighborhood park, holding signs and chanting for answers, as city officials arrived to address the latest flood concerns. Community members cited a series of floods over the past few years that have left basements waterlogged and streets impassable. They demanded a clear timeline for infrastructure upgrades, more frequent storm water inspections, and compensation for damaged property. City representatives acknowledged the repeated events, saying they are reviewing drainage plans and will release a detailed report within the next month. Tensions rose as locals pressed for immediate action, while officials promised to prioritize the borough's resilience against future storms. The gathering continued into the early afternoon as rain clouds lingered over the area. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Pierrefonds Roxborough.
Former Montreal Chamber of Commerce Chief Mitchell LeBlanc announced his candidacy for the Quebec Liberal Party, citing inspiration from leader Charles Milliard. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
Mitchell LeBlanc, former chief executive of the Montreal Chamber of Commerce, stepped onto a downtown podium Thursday to declare his entry into provincial politics. He announced his candidacy for the Quebec Liberal Party, saying the party's leader Charles Milliard sparked his decision to run. LeBlanc highlighted his business background as a foundation for serving the province, noting the chamber's work on trade and job growth. Party officials welcomed the former chamber head, noting his network could bolster the Liberals in the upcoming election. LeBlanc did not disclose a specific riding yet, but said he will focus on economic development and fiscal responsibility. He concluded by thanking supporters gathered outside the historic St. Laurent building. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, downtown Montreal. Later we'll unpack the transparent bag rule sparking a backlash just before the Isle Sonic Festival, plus more local headlines. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
Welcome back. Isle Sonic Festival announces a new policy allowing only transparent bags, sparking online criticism from ticket holders ahead of the August event. Organizers cite security concerns. Colette Barbeau has the full story.
Festival organizers have just rolled out a new bag rule for this weekend's Isle Sonic music event, mandating that every attendee carry only a transparent bag. The policy, announced late Tuesday, replaces the previous open bag allowance and has sparked a wave of criticism across social media, with ticket holders questioning the sudden change and its impact on personal belongings. Fans are sharing photos of the new requirement and voicing frustration that the rule arrived just days before the lineup kicks off on the island venue. Officials say the measure is intended to speed up security checks, but the online response remains sharply negative. Concert-goers are now checking their bags at the entrance earlier than usual, hoping to avoid long delays. Colette Barbeau, GMNA News, Montreal. The Quebec Superior Court has temporarily reinstated Air Liaison as an authorized carrier under the Regional Air Access Program, reversing a revocation that took effect last month while a final ruling is pending. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
On Thursday, a Quebec Superior Court judge issued an order that temporarily restores Air Liaison to the list of approved carriers under the province's Regional Air Access Program. The decision comes while the court awaits a final ruling on the airline's challenge after the government pulled its carrier status a month ago, citing alleged false declarations. Under the program, the province subsidizes regional routes to keep smaller communities connected, and Air Liaison will now be eligible for those funds again, albeit on a provisional basis. The court's interim order also requires the airline to submit regular compliance reports to the Transport Ministry while the case proceeds. Officials said the temporary measure ensures continuity of service for passengers until the legal dispute is resolved. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
A French citizen's Quebec work permit was revoked after he returned from his daughter's funeral, citing immigration rules that cancel permits after extended absences. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Back in Quebec after traveling to attend his daughter's funeral, a French national discovered his work permit had been cancelled. Officials invoked a provincial immigration rule that automatically revokes permits when a foreign worker is absent for a prescribed length of time. The man, who had been employed in the province for several years, learned the decision the same day he returned, prompting him to seek counsel from an immigration lawyer. The lawyer explained that the regulation applies regardless of the reason for the absence, and that reinstatement requires a fresh application and proof of continuous residence. The case is governed by Quebec's residency requirements for foreign workers. Under current policy, any gap beyond the allowed timeframe triggers automatic cancellation. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Quebec.
Severe flooding and a landslide have struck L'Ascension in Quebec's Laurentides region after intense rainstorms, leaving damage across the town and prompting emergency response. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Water surged through the main streets of L'Ascension after hours of intense rain, turning roadways into rushing streams. The floodwaters forced several homes to be evacuated and knocked out power for dozens of households. On the town's western edge, a landslide tore into a residential block, sending mud and debris down the slope and blocking a side road. Emergency crews arrived within the hour, setting up sandbag barriers and deploying pumps to divert the flow away from the community center. Residents gathered at the temporary shelter near the school, where volunteers are handing out blankets and bottled water. Officials say the storm system moving through the Laurentides region is expected to ease later today, but cleanup will continue through the night. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, L'Ascension.
Nemaska Lithium and Minerai de Fer Quebec announced layoffs affecting roughly 60 employees, despite receiving substantial provincial financial support. The cuts come amid broader industry challenges. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
At the Nemaska Lithium plant and the Minerai de Fer Quebec site, crews are packing up workstations as roughly 60 staff members walk out for the last time. The layoffs were announced late Thursday, affecting employees across both operations in the province. Managers handed out notices while supervisors coordinated the transition, and the emptying shift changes are visible in the footage. Both companies have been recipients of sizable provincial subsidies, yet the cuts come as they reassess production plans. Workers gathered outside, some holding personal belongings, while others exchanged quiet words before departing. The impact ripples through the local labor market as families brace for the sudden loss of income. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Let's check your afternoon outlook with the weather team, staying ahead of any surprise showers. A weakening ridge and a southwest jet stream are keeping Montreal dry, while temperatures climb toward the mid-20s. On this date, the all-time high reached 33.8 Celsius in 2016, a spike that rode the tail of a continent-wide heat dome. The all-time low fell to 11 Celsius in 2013, when an Arctic surge punched far south into the Great Lakes Basin. Normal August highs sit around 24 Celsius with lows near 15, so today's forecast sits comfortably between those extremes, reminding us how quickly the atmosphere can flip from scorching to biting. The live radar screen shows a blank canvas across the province. No echoes of rain or snow are present, confirming a dry air mass anchored by the high pressure that is beginning to drift lower. The southwest jet at 50 kilometers per hour is steering any lingering moisture eastward, leaving the city under clear skies for the next several hours. With the radar quiet, we can turn to today's surface outlook. At noon, the thermometer reads 22 Celsius under a clear sky, with humidity lingering at 73%. A gentle southerly breeze at 11 kilometers per hour keeps the air moving but feels mild. Near average pressure is easing lower, signaling a subtle destabilization that could invite clouds later. Meanwhile, the southwest jet overhead supplies a steady stream of dry air, suppressing convection. The UV index stands at 8, and wind remains below the 25-kilometer threshold. No alerts are active, and the forecast calls for a high of 27 and a low of 18 as the sun sets around 8:17 p.m. Thursday brings a high of 28 and a low of 21, with the sky overcast as a lingering frontal boundary settles in. Friday nudges the high to 29 and the low to 22. A modest 35% chance of rain arrives as the front deepens. Saturday holds a high of 27 and a low of 21, with rain probability climbing to 40% as the system stalls. Sunday clears again, high 26, low 19, but a lingering 25% chance of showers persists into the evening. Monday rounds out the period with a high of 25, low 19,
and a 55% rain chance as another trough pushes eastward, promising the wettest stretch of the week. And that's your weather. Remember, the lunch break is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Traffic remains jammed on Route 136, the Offspring rock tonight, and the Canadians reveal their top 25 long shots. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
An eastbound lane on Route 136 is closed near Exit 3 for storm sewer work, creating a bottleneck that stretches from Guy Street into downtown. Drivers should expect 3-lane traffic and consider using Rue St. Laurent as an alternate. The biggest slowdown right now is on Autoroute des Curies between the main interchange and Rue Jean Talon. A major hindrance has turned 2 lanes into a crawl, adding up to 15 minutes of delay during peak flow. Motorists heading toward the South Shore might want to divert onto Autoroute Quinns or take Boulevard St. Laurent to rejoin further east. A second major hindrance runs along Boulevard Gouin to Boulevard Henry Bourassa. Traffic is backed up for several blocks with stop-and-go conditions near the intersection at Rue Saint-Denis. No transit disruptions have been reported this morning, so subway and bus routes remain on schedule. Expect conditions to ease slightly after noon as construction crews finish their early shifts.
The Offspring storms the MTELUS tonight, delivering that classic punk energy you've missed for years. It's the perfect soundtrack for a summer night out. The show kicks off at 7, so grab a seat early and let the crowd roar. The gourmet soup cruise rolls along the St. Lawrence River, serving a hot handcrafted broth while a DJ spins smooth beats and the city lights glide by, a tasty way to unwind between meetings. If you're looking for a quick cultural fix, the National Bank Open is in full swing at the IGA Stadium, where the world's top tennis stars battle for points and bragging rights. Catch a rally and feel the tension of a Grand Slam atmosphere. Looking ahead, the Afro-Monde Festival kicks off tomorrow on the Champ de Mars, turning the park into a vibrant celebration of African music, dance, and food, a must-see for anyone craving fresh beats and bold flavors. And now here's Jason with sports.
Habs' future takes shape as prospects rise, off-season moves spark fresh debate. The Canadians unveiled their annual top 25 under 25 long shots list, shuffling several names to the bottom tier. That voting strategy trims the pool for elite spots, signaling a deeper talent well and forcing the front office to consider new call-ups as training camp approaches. Alex Newhook returned to Newfoundland for his 3rd annual Alex Newhook and Friends Golf Classic, a charitable showcase that keeps fans engaged off the ice. Meanwhile, analysts on the Sick podcast dissect Alexander Carrier's evolving role, a debate that could reshape the Habs' middle pairing heading into preseason. The latest top 25 under 25 ranking reflects the Canadiens' surprise late-season push that barely secured a playoff berth in 2024-25. The list also notes November's goaltending slump, reminding the club that stabilizing net play remains a priority as young talent vies for roster spots.
Good Food, the Ville-Marie-based meal kit and online grocery pioneer, has just announced it is seeking bankruptcy protection. The company, which has fed thousands of Montreal families with fresh, pre-portioned ingredients for years, now faces a material uncertainty that puts its future in question. With net debt of $35.85 million and $29 million of convertible debt maturing next March, Good Food is scrambling for new financing or a restructuring plan. If the company can stay afloat, the neighborhood keeps a local source of convenient, healthy meals and dozens of jobs. Good Food matters because it proved that a homegrown brand can put Montreal on the national food tech map. Residents hope the brand can reinvent itself and continue serving the city's tables. Next, Tennis Canada's retractable roof plan for IGA Stadium and a tornado probe after the Repentigny storm. We will be right back. Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news. Four unrelated knife attacks have shaken Montreal over the past 48 hours, sparking a citywide police alert as residents wonder if the violence will spread. Police are focusing on the Côte des Neiges corner of Van Horn and Victoria Avenues. Carl Dumont is there on the scene. Carl Dumont.
Thanks, CJ Waterhouse. I'm on the corner of Van Horn and Victoria, streetlights glinting on a wet sidewalk, mist clinging to the brick facades of low-rise apartments. Police sirens have just faded. A yellow cruiser sits with its lights still flashing. Residents linger on stoops, eyes flicking to the scene, murmuring about the stabbing that left a 53-year-old man with non-life-threatening wounds. Earlier this weekend, 3 knife attacks unfolded at the Sherbrooke St. Catherine intersection, one critically injuring a 45-year-old man. Police say the incidents appear unrelated, yet the rapid succession has sparked a city-wide alert, raising anxiety in neighborhoods that usually feel safe. These random attacks have turned a usually quiet neighborhood into a place of unease, reminding us how fragile everyday safety can be. The human cost is clear. Strangers become victims, families brace for uncertain recovery, and a community watches the investigation unfold. This spate of violence shows how quickly ordinary streets can become sites of terror. Carl Dumont, virtually at Van Horn and Victoria intersection. Welcome back. Tennis Canada unveiled a June 2026 renovation plan to add a retractable roof to Montreal's IGA Stadium, aiming to shield National Bank Open matches from weather delays. Matthew Lachance has the full story.
Renovation plans are underway at IGA Stadium as Tennis Canada rolls out an expansion that will crown the venue with a retractable roof. The project, slated to begin in June 2026, aims to shield National Bank Open matches from rain, wind, and other weather interruptions that have long plagued the open-air arena. Current facilities host the tournament each summer but lack any covering, forcing occasional delays and rescheduling. The new roof will slide open for fair weather play and close when conditions turn, offering players and fans a more reliable schedule. Construction will also include upgrades to seating and player amenities, positioning the stadium to meet international standards. Matthew Lachance, GMNA News, Montreal.
Investigators from the Northern Tornadoes Project are examining whether the severe storm that battered Repentigny on Sunday could have spawned a tornado, raising concerns about future weather threats. Ramai Gaudreau has the full story.
Investigators with the Northern Tornadoes Project are combing through data from Sunday's severe storm that ripped through Repentigny, Quebec. The event unfolded on August 2nd, 2026, catching many off guard. The team is looking for any signatures of a tornado, a possibility raised by the storm's intensity and the damage it left behind. Radar sweeps, damage surveys, and eyewitness reports are being reviewed to determine whether a vortex touched down in the community. Researchers say that confirming a tornado would help refine warning systems for future events across the province. While the investigation continues, local officials are urging residents to stay alert for any lingering hazards and to report new damage. Ramai Gaudreau, GMNA News, Repentigny.
Thanks, Montreal, for joining us on the lunch break. Today's look at the city's effort to map flood-prone buildings highlighted the challenges ahead. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter to you. Until then, stay safe and keep the conversation going. I'm CJ Waterhouse, signing off.